Yahoo Fantasy Auto Racing, the Tucson Racing Group, just completed week 29 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup season. The Price Chopper 400 was the name of the race, and Kansas Speedway was the place. Let's go right to it. The 1.5 mile cookie cutter D-shaped oval was home to the 29th race in the NASCAR season. It was also race number 3 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Your race results: Greg Biffle winds up the winner here, with Jimmy Johnson coming home in second, followed by Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Gordon rounding out the top 5. In the overall point standings, Jimmy Johnson inherits the points lead by just 8 points over Denny Hamlin, followed by Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, and Jeff Gordon, all 5 within 58 points of the lead. Your race notes: not a whole lot to talk about here. It was a fairly uneventful race. The chasers for the championship all finished very well, with the exception of one driver. That was Kyle Busch. We'll get to that in a moment. Starting with the pole, Casey Kane was on the pole for this event. He had a miserable day. He failed to lead very many laps. He hit the wall, finished many laps down, and in the 30s when all was said and done. And then Kyle Busch. He was notable for all the wrong reasons this week, as he got into a feud with David Rudiman. Early in the event, about 50 laps into the event, Kyle Busch accidentally spun out David Rudiman coming out of turn 2. This upset Rudiman quite a bit. Rudiman's car was damaged because of the incident. Kyle Busch did not receive any damage. Rudiman went behind the wall, made repairs, came back on the track about 10 laps down, and then proceeded to find Kyle Busch and attempt to spin him out coming off of turn 2 many laps after the initial incident. Kyle Busch was able to drive away while David Rudiman spun himself out trying to wreck Kyle Busch, and really just didn't do a whole lot of damage to his own car or Kyle's car, but the damage was significant enough on Kyle Busch's car that it knocked out some of knocked out the toe end, a couple other elements of the actual suspension of the car. So Kyle Busch went from having an excellent setup and some of the fastest lap times of the day, including at one point the fastest lap of the day, to being one of the slowest cars on the racetrack due to handling issues. This wound up putting Kyle Busch on pit road. Kyle was able to stay with the lead lap for the rest of the event, but was at the tail end of the lead lap and wound up being the lowest finishing chaser this week. So Kyle Busch, the only driver in the chase to finish outside the top 18 when all was said and done. The chasers were the dominant factor in this event. Many chasers ran very well this week, including Greg Biffle, the race winner, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Matt Kenseth all showed the ability to dominate the event at some point or another, and chasers defined the event. It was a very big day for the points, as multiple drivers were able to make up a lot of ground, and there's still 11 drivers within one race of the points lead, with 7 races remaining in the chase. In the Tucson Racing League, yet another win for Hulk Smash. Hulk Smash with a huge points performance, 349 points this week. Had all 4 drivers in the top 9, including second place Jimmy Johnson and third place Kevin Harvick. Also starting Paul Menard for 8th and Ryan Newman for 9th. There was actually 2 different C drivers in the top 10 this week, Menard being the best of them, and AJ Allmendinger picking up a 10th. So Hulk Smash with all 4 drivers in the top 9 makes up a ton of ground. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But rounding out the rest of the field for the Kansas Speedway event, second was Whoa, a Left Turn, who's having a very good fall so far. 327 points puts Whoa 22 points off the pace. All 4 drivers were in the top 15, with 5th place Jeff Gordon, 7th place Matt Kenseth, 10th place AJ Allmendinger, and Clint Boyer, who had a terrible day but rallied to come home in 15th. Third this week, points leader High, Wide, and Handsome with 296 points, 53 points off the pace. 3 drivers in the top 10. That was Jeff Gordon 5th, Matt Kenseth 7th, and Paul Menard 8th. And then the disappointing David Rudiman, who wound up 35th. Fourth this week, Greek Thunder with 290 points, finishes 59 out of first, with 2 drivers in the top 10, Jeff Gordon 5th and Ryan Newman 9th, and then 2 more drivers in the top 20, with Clint Boyer 15th and Scott Speed finishing 19th. Rounding out the top 5 is the surging Stewart Sucks Kane Rules, who finished with 275 points this week for yet another top 5, 74 points out of first. 2 drivers in the top 10 this week with Kevin Harvick 3rd and Paul Menard 8th. And then A driver Kurt Busch came home 13th, and the disappointing David Rudiman was 35th. 6th this week, the Wall always wins, who loses a lot of ground in his pursuit of Hulk Smash in the overall points, finishing 106 points behind Hulk Smash this week, a devastating blow to their chances of getting to 3rd or possibly 2nd. Denny Hamlin, out of Group A for the Wall, finished 12th. 1 driver in the top 10, that was Paul Menard in 8th. We mentioned Hamlin in 12th. 15th went to Clint Boyer, and then David Rudiman in 35th. Rudiman actually ruined a lot of weeks for a lot of people with his disappointing finish. 7th this week, Lightning McQueen, who loses a ton of ground yet again on the leader, finishing with just 236 points, finishing 113 points out of 1st this week, was the only team to start race winner Greg Biffle, but then had disappointment across the board. 15th with Clint Boyer. Ryan Newman wound up 9th. It says here, Ryan Newman was 9th in Group B, but also started David Rudiman for 35th, and 26th place, Regan Smith out of Group C. When everybody else has a pretty decent week, you've got to be pretty good across the board, and Lightning McQueen was just not this week. 8th, oh no, a blowout with just 221 points. Some roster problems there, starting a B driver that has no starts left in Dale Earnhardt Jr. Had 5th Jeff Gordon, 15th Clint Boyer, and 19th Scott Speed, with 10 bonus points from the pole sitter to rack up 221. And finishing dead last this week, Team Edwards, the driver, with just 153 points, finishing almost 200 points off the pace this week. Did not start an eligible driver for Group A, so only had 3 drivers to choose from. Best finish was Jeff Burton in 18th. Burton was actually the 11th best chaser this week. And then Brad Keselowski in 23rd and Regan Smith in 26th. The overall standings show High, Wide, and Handsome now with 8,006 points and now holding a 360-point cushion back to 2nd, where Lightning McQueen sits just 37 points ahead of Hulk Smash after the big week for Hulk. Hulk now under 400 points behind Handsome and only 37 points out of 2nd place, so a lot to play for still with 7 weeks remaining. The Wall always wins, loses a ton of ground in 4th, now 595 points out of 1st place and almost 200 out of 3rd. 5th is Greek Thunder, 887 points out. The rest of the field is over 1,000 points or more out of 1st place. Team Edwards is 6th. Whoa, a left turn 7th. Oh no, a blowout sits 8th. And dead last, Kane rules over 5,000 points out of 1st. Next week is week 30 in the NASCAR Sprint Cup season and Yahoo Fantasy Auto Racing 2010. The Pepsi 400 to be held at the 2 Mile Oval in California, the Auto Club Speedway. Your pool of drivers will lock Friday at 2 in the morning. Your starters are going to lock Sunday at noon for this afternoon race. So we'll hope to see you back next week for week 30 in the NASCAR season and Yahoo Fantasy Auto Racing, the Tucson Racing Group.